Hi, I am using a new app today and I have a super embarrassing thing to admit. I just spoke for 20 minutes to my computer screen thinking that you all could see me and hear me, and then I just found out that no, I was talking to myself. So I'm a little bit late. It's 12:20 now, and I did start my broadcast right at 12, but if you'll give me some grace, I'm just gonna start right over because what I have to share with you today is really important. So hey, I'm Jamie, life coach for teens, and I'm so glad that you are a member of this group. And I really wish I could get some confirmation that maybe somebody out there is watching. So again, I'm so sorry and really rather embarrassed that I just talked to myself for 20 minutes. I enjoyed the conversation, but okay, so I think we have 2 viewers. Welcome, and I will just get started. And again, I'm so sorry for being late. I've said it before, but I am learning right along with you guys. I've taken, I have a full practice in Bellingham, Washington, and I do one-on-one work, and I have FaceTime clients all over the world, but, oh, thank you. I just got to know that someone else talks to themselves all the time. That makes me feel better. Thank you. So yeah, I have clients all over the world, so I'm always on my computer, but this whole Facebook Live thing is completely new to me. So welcome. Today, I'm going to help shed some light and give you some clarity around the topic of social anxiety. And the reason I'm doing this is I get so many phone calls from parents who are just frustrated and kind of, they don't know how to help their daughter, and so they end up calling me, which is great. But I want to, in this short talk, give you some ideas or shed some light on some areas that just are consistently hard for parents and hard for their teens. So we're going to cover 5 topics today in this Facebook Live. And now I know that I can see comments. So although I can't see who it's from right now, I do appreciate those. And if you have questions, I will try to stop every few minutes and make sure that I'm answering those. Oh, I see someone else there. Hi. So I was just admitting that I was super embarrassed because I talked for 20 minutes to my camera by myself, and it wasn't broadcasting, but now we're good. So welcome. Okay, so today, 5 things that are commonly misunderstood or misjudged between parents and teens in the area of social media. Let's get started. Okay, number 1, I look at social anxiety in my office as more of an area for personal growth rather than a mental health diagnosis. Now, I'm not trying to downplay your daughters out there who do have an actual diagnosis. In fact, I think that's positive. But what I found in my office and in my career is that teenagers would rather not believe that there's something wrong with them, and that a core part of who I am as a coach is that I believe there's nothing wrong with them. Being a teenager is just really hard, and every one of us I know needed some extra help along the way, and some of us got it and some of us didn't, and we probably figured it out too. But being a teenager is hard. And then the second thing I tell girls that they really love to hear is we all struggle with social anxiety. I used to teach, and when I was a teacher, my marketing students used to love this statistic. I would tell them, I would say, take a guess as what the scariest 2 things are for human beings, except for death. And they would guess all sorts of things. And then some of you might know this, but the 2 actual things that are scarier than death for people are public speaking and buying a used car. Now, my dad was a used car salesman, so I just think that's funny, and he wasn't a scary guy, but I know that they have a bad rap. But if the idea of public speaking is scarier to most people than death, then we can say pretty calmly and pretty matter-of-factly that on some level, we all struggle with social anxiety. For adults, maybe it's just feeling kind of awkward at a networking event, or just those butterflies in your stomach before you get up and you speak to a board, or sometimes in our profession where we're being stretched and we're not quite sure of ourselves and we have to give an answer. Social social anxiety. But most of us have learned or are able to just kind of, see where my finger goes, flick a switch and turn that anxiety off. But for a socially anxious or shy teen, that anxiety actually gets dialed up. They literally do not know how to turn it off. And even the girls that I work with and your daughters struggle with social anxiety on a continuum. For some girls, I'm going to learn how this works. For some girls, it's a light problem. It just gets in the way, maybe keeps them from going after some of their goals or feeling less confident about themselves. And for other girls, it's a complete game destroyer. It changes their lives. Maybe it's hard to go to school. Maybe it's hard to get out of bed. Maybe it's turned into a depressed state or even full-on depression. But social anxiety on a continuum, that is one misunderstanding or misconception that I wanted to clear up. I like to approach every teen that I work with as whole and fine. They just need proper guidance, proper mentoring, and some tools, and maybe my life experience and your life experience to get them through adolescence and out the other side, happy, healthy young adults. Okay, so that was misconception number one. Number two, this one comes from a lot of frustrated parent phone calls and frustrated kids in my office. And the way I'm going to present it to you today is on the idea that hurt people hurt people. Girls that are struggling with social anxiety feel sad, they feel mad, they feel frustrated, they feel embarrassed, ashamed, disappointed in themselves. They feel terrible. And then they come home, and if you rewind a couple of years back to the toddler days, what would your toddler do when they were feeling all those ways? Mine would hit the ground and start kicking, screaming, pulling hair, yelling, throwing things, like complete uncontrollable tantrum. Your daughters are a bit more polished, and they might not hit the floor, but they might. But it's going to look like snappy, rude comments when they get home, maybe doors slamming. Perhaps they don't want to talk, or they give you one-word answers or grunts, or they say mean things that they know are going to hurt you. Hurt people hurt people. So I just want you to know that your daughter is lashing out, and her reactions aren't meant to be personal. And if you can remember back to the parenting days of young kids when there were so many more resources than there are for parenting teens, side note, back to those days, the advice would have been something along the lines of, it's okay. You're their safe person. You're the only one in the world where they know they can be their darkest, ugliest, meanest self, and you will love them anyway. You are that person. I'm giving you that same advice 10 years, 15 years down the road. You are that person. So they have to fake it. They have to go through their entire day feeling all these certain ways, and they come home and you're going to take the brunt of that hurt. And I'm sorry about that, but until the bigger problem of social anxiety is handled, that's probably going to be the case. And if your daughter's not doing that, that could be worrisome too, honestly, because that just means she's stuffing her emotions, and she's probably not sharing with anybody. If she can't share them with you or won't share them with you, then she's probably holding all those things inside, which can be equally painful and devastating. Okay, next. Number three, this idea is really important because the idea is that she feels misunderstood everywhere she goes. She feels misunderstood on the bus, on the walk to school, in the commons area before school, in her classes, talking to her teachers, even in her interactions with her friends. She might not feel like they really get her or really like her. Your daughter likely goes through school feeling misunderstood all day. And then some will go on to sports practices or theater or music practice feeling misunderstood too. So when they come home and the temptation is to be frustrated as a parent, wondering why they don't want to engage with you, or why they won't share about their day, or why they won't simply invite their old best friend from third grade over for dinner, I just want to give you the insight that they feel misunderstood all day long. And the only thing that feels better is when they come home to their safe place and they know that they're not being judged, they're not being misunderstood, and that they can be heard. This one will take some time, but just really, I guess, parent to parent, I'm trying to let you know that it's extremely important to harness your feelings of disappointment, anger, frustration, whatever it is, so that your daughter has a place where she isn't misunderstood. Okay. Next one is a big one. So I'm going to try to make this one as quick and succinct as possible, but I have a whole lot of thoughts on it. And it's the idea this, most of you, I've heard from a lot of you actually, but there's been some comments on our page too that you're worried about social media and social anxiety. The lesson here is that social media and social anxiety are like sister problems. And there's a lot of reasons, but they go hand in hand. So for your daughters who seem to be addicted to social media, I'm going to give you some reasons for it and perhaps shed some light on why that is. And here we go. So social media for teenagers in general is really addicting. You can, at the touch of your fingers, have access to what everybody's doing in your world, who's dating who broke up with who, where people are meeting at, where the best party is, the embarrassing thing that happened to so-and-so at school. Basically, their whole social landscape is, they can get to it from the little device in their hand. So that's addicting and fun for all kids. But if you take a girl with social anxiety, it becomes just a bit more menacing, and here's why. So they go through their day, back to that misunderstood thing. They're feeling misunderstood, and they get home, they slam their door, and they just want to spend some time on their phone. So they might tell you that this is where they're getting their social connection, where they're talking with friends, and that's how they FaceTime and text, and they are being social, but they're in their room. I want to maybe let you know that that's not exactly what it looks like. Most girls who struggle with social anxiety are actually observing life through their phone. So they're not participating in it, they are watching it. And there's a big difference. Kids who are participating in social media might have Snapchat going, making some Instagram comments, taking some pictures of themselves to post, FaceTiming their best friend, whatever, but they're interacting with their social media. Whereas a lot of girls with social anxiety will just simply watch. They just become observers of everything going on around them. So they're telling you they're participating in their social world, when in reality, they're not. And the problem is that then they're faced with that hard part of social media where you get to see everybody else having this magnificent life all around you while you're at home alone in your room, not even sure how to send a text to somebody that you really do want to connect to. Most of the girls that I work with, we will literally start with, how do you write a text? Because they think it's weird or awkward to just say, hey, what's up? Whereas other teens that I work with would think it was no big deal. But social anxiety tells them a bit of a lie in their head that, no, you can't do that. People will think you're weird. So that's what keeps them from really interacting with their world through social media. The other way social media pops up as a challenge or a problem in a girl's life who struggles with social anxiety is it becomes kind of like a protection mechanism between them and the world. So they can be at school, they can be in the cafeteria, and because they're on their phone and they're doing all these things, they look busy. I mean, I've used the same excuse, trying to avoid people, sometimes, not all the time, but they use this as a way to say, I am busy, I do not need you to talk to me, but it helps them feel like they have something important to do, and it keeps other people from approaching them. So the phone can become kind of a social crutch and make it harder rather than easier for girls to participate IRL or in real life. Okay, last today, I'm going to share another misconception that often causes some frustration for parents. And it's this idea that your daughter thinks negative thoughts, probably a lot, probably more so than most people, because that is like the core demon of social anxiety are these negative thoughts. But the problem is she can't just simply stop, because what's happened is she's taken these negative thoughts and she's put them kind of like in this little bowl, and then she walks around with these gray colored rather than rose colored glasses. She walks around her life looking for proof that this negative thought is the truth. So she ignores all the really positive stuff, the compliments from teachers, the invites from friends, the natural talent at a sport. She'll ignore all those things because they don't line up with this identity that she's built for herself as an anxious teen. So negative thoughts, sometimes it's tempting as parents to say, just don't think that. Just look at yourself the way I see you. Just stop it. And it's really, really not that easy. So I just want you to know that it's really just not that easy. So all of these things, the being seen that something's wrong with you if you have social anxiety. The encouragement is to just look at it as an area of personal growth. Hi. Thank you. The idea that hurt people hurt people. Your daughter's going through a really tough time right now. So if she's lashing out at you at home, it's because she feels safe with you, and she can't do that anywhere else in her world. Not that it's okay, but at least there's a reason for it. And if you understand that reason, it might be less hurtful when she does. The flip side of that's not pretty either. So if your daughter's not lashing out at you, but she's also not sharing her thoughts and feelings with friends, and she's not sharing her thoughts and feelings with you, that means she's keeping them all inside. And that stuffing of emotion is no healthier than the lashing out and the anger. Number 3 was she feels misunderstood every day, all day. So when she comes home, do your best to create an environment where she feels understood, or at least not judged. So picking at little things about social anxiety, or wishing or asking why she's not inviting so-and-so over for dinner, or why she's not going to the football game, that kind of stuff can come across as judgment, which builds more shame around this topic of social anxiety, will make her feel worse than she is, and it won't help anybody. Next was there's a real correlation between social media addiction and social anxiety, and you can watch my blurb as to why that is, but it's something to really watch for. But at least my little speech back there could shed some light on why it's so hard for her to put her phone away. And then last is this idea that negative thoughts, for some of us, we can just drop them and move on and be like, this thought no longer serves me. But for girls with social anxiety, it's become their identity. So the real work is to break that apart and help them build a new one. And if what I've said makes sense to you, or makes you curious, or you want to know more, I've opened up a couple of spots on my calendar for some calls. In this free 45-minute call, I can give you more clarity. I can give you some specific answers with your specific stories that I can't do in general over Facebook Live. And then I can also let you know how I can help, because the truth is I can. This is one of the things I'm best at, and my success stories and my passion for what I do are proof. So I thank you for watching today. Again, if you tried to log on at 12 and I was MIA, it's because I was giving a presentation to myself, whereas I thought I was talking to each of you. So I hope that this was helpful today. I look forward to getting to know you more on those calls. The link is right down below here. And I look forward to this journey that we're on together in this group for parents who have daughters with social anxiety. Take care. Happy Tuesday. Bye. I think I'm still on. See, it's foolish.